Hey, today I'm speaking with John Petrone. John is the president of Practice, and Practice is a full service digital marketing agency. They work with thousands of healthcare providers in the US, from urology to pediatrics, bariatrics, pain, ENT, dermatology. Basically, if it's in the healthcare space, they've seen it and done it. And today we're talking about basically how do you know if your marketing is working or not, and what questions to ask. And also, I throw in the question, how often do you actually need a new website?
Thanks for having me, Maddie.
Hey, my first question, I was curious, what's your favorite part about working in healthcare?
Yeah, so actually my career didn't even start in healthcare. I had got an engineering background and uh I in a roundabout way kind of found myself in healthcare and found it exceptionally rewarding because it's not about just about helping the providers become more visible, helping them be more successful, but at the end of the line, there's a patient that we impact in local markets all across the country, and we are a gateway to helping them find the care that they need for the conditions they have, or the procedures that they need to have done.
Yeah. Yeah, man, and I love the fact that you guys went all in on healthcare niche. There's lots of agencies out there, lots of them that say, yeah, we can do your website. What are you, muffler shop? You doing tires? Oh, you're doing knees? Yeah, we can do that too. But got a lot of respect for people that say, no, we could do all this for everyone else, but we're going to stay in healthcare. So kudos to you guys. Um, Practice, a nationwide company having, I think I can say, over 1,000 clients in healthcare, right?
Yeah, we serve thousands of healthcare providers across the country, anybody from single physician all the way up to large multi-specialty groups, large independent group practices. We even work with some health systems in some ancillary growth solutions that we implement for them.
Yep. Yeah, and so I gave you a bit of a heads up on this subject, but for our audience, vast majority of them are private practice physicians. There's some one surgeon practices up to 7, 8 surgeon practices, and in some parts of the country, I think it's geography based. Some of them are still doing fantastic. Their numbers are the same as last year or better. And I have to say, for a chunk of them, especially the ones who are doing a large amount of self pay, their numbers are down right now, but for different reasons and different specialties. Economy based, inflation based, other things that are happening out there. But what the conversations that come up, as we all know, if the surgeon's not busy in the OR, the surgeon is bouncing around the office looking for why they're not busy in the OR, which I totally
Hmm.
get. And so these questions start to come up about, hey, we're not sure about we've been spending this money on marketing. No one questions it when times are good, but if numbers go down, these private practices start looking at their spend. And in my experience, they show up and say, all right, I got this 18-page report from my marketing agency. I don't really have time to look at it. Don't know what it means. I think we're spending money on Google ads and Facebook. I think we're doing SEO. And my question for you was, if there's a practice manager or a surgeon listening to this, and they said, hey John, if I could call you and say, hey, even if you're not my agency right now, if you were me, what do you do? Where do you start to go back and say, are we getting all the value out of our marketing that we could? How do we know if we should lower it, if we should increase it? What are those first few things you start to look at and dig into?
I think what's really important, Maddie, is that practices or physicians or practice owners, groups, they take a moment and they self-reflect. And so before you even start launching campaigns, or let's say you're already down the path of uh, having a campaign in place, it is so important that they self-reflect and they take a moment to establish clear objectives that they want to be able to accomplish. So, for example, what are the types of patients that you really want to be treating? What are some of the big revenue drivers for the practice, or those procedures that you really love to do? Those goals will help drive all of the other activities that you do as it relates to your marketing campaigns and how you position what you do and how you allocate your budget.
Man, that gives me a few thoughts. But yes, the first one is I think most agencies, if they don't have deep experience, number one, in healthcare, I know some agencies for some of our clinics, they have clients that are in every industry. So if they're focused on healthcare, but even beyond that, you don't know if you're the only ENT that this company's ever done or the only bariatric surgeon they've ever worked for. So they don't necessarily have deep knowledge. And you're right. If that's the case, if you love them, they're doing a great job, that's fine. But then it's on you as the client to go to the agency and say, hey guys, let's have a little meeting here and let me explain to you my favorite patient profile, the highest payers, and then you tell me if we can get in front of more of those people. How do we do that? That's a fantastic tip.
Yeah, I mean, we a lot of times when folks come to us, there sometimes you get folks that are a little bit shocked that we know the specialty so well and we know how to go act on it, but then you get others that they expect it. And when they sign up or when they're looking to drive a certain type of procedure, there's a sense of trust that you know how to pull the appropriate levers to help them get to where they want to be. And that's really important in terms of efficiency with getting them to where they want to be sooner rather than later.
Yep. Yeah, I just have a top of mind example from bariatrics. You can spend 12 grand a month on Google ads for bariatric surgery. And if you're not careful, you're using the broadest of terms and you're competing against all the companies who are now promoting their weight loss medications. So you will burn up $12,000 in a heartbeat and have very little to show for it. So your
Yep.
ads team has to go a couple levels deeper to get those people that are really looking to do something.
Yep.
Okay, next question. What are you seeing in the broader, if you just had to step back and say, okay, across the country, in the last few years, we've seen people be successful focusing on SEO. We've seen people be successful with Google ads, maybe Facebook ads, social media. What are you seeing the most of right now as the world kind of changes, tracking changes on different devices and pixel tracking? Like what are people doing right now who are just thriving and actually loving their marketing spend?
Again, it goes back into the goals. So let's say you're a urologist and you want to drive long-term value to your practice by pulling in more vasectomy patients. Well, with a vasectomy patient, you know that they fit a certain demographic of 30 to 45, 50 years old, and you want to be able to reach that demographic either through social ads or Google ads. It just really depends on the demographic. And consequently for weight loss surgery, if you want to be able to reach those patients, you want to be able to produce the right type of messaging using the right types of mediums. So in that case, Facebook ads would be a good solution for someone that's looking to improve their quality of life or improve well, I guess we could start over on that one. That one wasn't very good.
No, yeah, that's
Go on. What was that question again?
in the yeah. Let me just maybe that was not a sharp, clear question. So yeah, another question I wanted to ask is across the country, you have a view of medical practices of all sizes, all specialties in every state in the country, basically. And I know there are people out there who say, hey, we love our marketing spend. We know when we put $1 in, we get $2.50 out, and we've cranked that thing up and we're very happy with it. What are those people, and maybe this is too broad, but what do you see working in this world? Technology's changed, tracking has changed, how ads are served up has changed. So do you guys still see people, they're just crushing it all in on Google ads? Has it shifted more to social? Is SEO still a huge piece of that strategy?
Yeah, great question, Maddie. At the end of the day, it is a mix, and you need to target that mix based off of the demographic that you're going after. Again, it goes back to the client's goals in terms of the procedures they want to drive, the types of patients that they're going to want to be treating month in and month out. that really drives that marketing mix and where you apply that budget. The important thing to do at the end of the day is whatever those activities are, and the different levers that you pull, you're tracking your key performance indicators. And that could include really it's your desired end outcome. So things like people requesting an appointment through an online HIPAA compliant appointment request form, or an appointment scheduler, or maybe phone calls into the office. Maybe you're leveraging something like call tracking, or someone that's utilizing a patient engagement widget, or like are you a candidate assessment, that, things that you guys do really well. It's very, very important for you to look at where you're placing your budget and if the key performance indicators are following, so that you're reaching that target audience in that demographic.
Yeah, man, and we have seen Google Analytics reports. You can have a small clinic that gets let's say 1,200 website visitors a month, and they get lots of consults out of those 1,200 and lots of procedures. You can have a clinic similar in size that we've seen 30,000 visits a month and getting less consults and less procedures out of that traffic. So, sometimes it's interesting because clients will come and say, well, our traffic's up, our hits are down. And it's like, well, that's fine. But I guess it depends on what those eyeballs are doing once they're here. So like you said, if you don't have a KPI, if you don't have a monthly metric, if you don't have a scorecard to say, all right, we can measure lots of things, but what's most important to get out of our marketing spend? If you're not measuring that, you're going to have a tough time when you go to investigate it.
That's right.
Okay, and this is probably my last question, but this comes up a lot. People, I don't know if they look at the broader world or they look at their friend's website or their competitor's website, and every time there's a drop in marketing activity, a lot of people say, man, I guess I need a new website. We should get a new website. And so my question to you, if you could give a piece of advice, how often should you be getting a new website? And also, that's the question. Number one, I have a second follow-up question, but number one, how often, I mean, in the real world, I know you're part of what you're selling is websites, but legitimately, how often should you get a new one?
Yeah, as you said, Maddie, a website is just one small component, although foundational, to an overall growth solution that you're trying to implement. It goes back to your goals, what you're trying to do. There is a rule of thumb out there. Some folks will say every 3 to 5 years. Some folks will say 5 to 7. It at the end of the day, as long as it's converting those visitors into patients, that's all that matters. And so if it's presenting a good user experience on desktop, on mobile, you've got really great calls to actions, good content that patients can interact with, that's not only informative, but very unique and specific to you and tells patients why they need to take action, as opposed to your competition, that's what matters. But to answer your question in short, general rule of thumb could be somewhere around 5 years.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, I think that's great. Yeah, as we've seen, it's fantastic to have a beautiful website, but the most beautiful website doesn't always win. Yeah, like you said, there's lots of other factors in that equation.
Yeah, it's really important to keep your foot on the gas in terms of your overall visibility. And so one thing that a practice or a physician, employed or independent, can do is really know how they're performing versus their competition in terms of visibility. So there's lots of great tools out there. I mean, Google's obviously the best. You can leverage the ad preview platform, the Google Ads ad preview tool, and you can type in variations of searches. Let's say you're a gynecologist in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and you wanted to be driving fibroid procedures, myomectomies, or certain other minimally invasive procedures. It's really easy for you to use tools like that to type in fibroid treatment Chattanooga or fibroid doctor near me, different variations with a geo modifier, not a non-geo modifier, or assumed local intent by Google, using those tools to see how you perform as it relates to your competition, seeing who is serving up ads for those highly valuable keywords. That can be really impactful for making sure your website has a full funnel of visitors coming in to help them take action.
Yeah. That's good advice. I'll put that in the description. The Google, if someone didn't know how to find that tool, can you quickly tell them, like, hey, here's how you find the ads preview tool?
Yeah, if they just go into Google and type in ad preview tool.
Perfect.
In search.
Cool.
Do you want to ask that as a question? I can put it right back to you.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, so that's a great point. And you mentioned the Google ad preview tool. If someone's listening and they're not sure even how to access that, how do they access it?
Yeah, pretty easy. Just go right into Google, type in ad preview tool and hit enter, and it'll be the first thing that'll pop up in search. Gives you a really good idea of the search landscape and how you perform organically and amongst the paid ads as well. You can toggle desktop versus mobile. Perfect.
Okay, well, I promised to keep this short and snappy, so we're at the end of time. But man, John, thanks for sharing your time and your knowledge. And to wrap up, I know if somebody says, "Hey, I think I may be interested in talking to you guys," what's the best thing for them to do?
Yeah, appreciate you having me on, Maddie. It was a great conversation. Look forward to talking again. And if folks do want to reach out and are looking for some sort of an assessment on how they perform in their market and where the opportunities might reside, real simple, just go to practice.com/boost. That's practis.com/boost. And you'll see some information there to help you take the next step.
Nice. Yes. And I'll include that link also in the description everywhere this thing shows up. So, man, I've enjoyed it. Thanks, John.
Yeah, thanks, Maddie. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
You too.